Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about how the game is played, especially in light of all the craziness that seems to be going on around the world. And I'll be right back after this word from my artificial intelligence sponsor.
Hello, and welcome to the Matrix Game of Life. It is the generosity of viewers like you that makes this channel possible. If you find the information provided as being beneficial, please send a thank you gift. It will be much appreciated. A PayPal link can be found in the description section of all videos. May your Matrix experience be one of health and of prosperity.
Okay, once again, welcome all viewers to the Matrix Game of Life, which is getting pretty interesting. It's getting very interesting. You know, against advice that I have gotten quite a while ago from my mentor, the lady that introduced me to this game. Now, I don't even know if my mentor knows that I exist, aside from seeing my name on support that I sent to her. There's a good reason for that, by the way. It's called an energy exchange. And the game is all about energy, frequency, and choices. So when you can get an energy exchange, you raise your frequency a little bit. And then it's up to you to keep it there and keep it rising. Anyhow, she told me that she really doesn't bother listening to much else on YouTube or social media for that matter, other than watching movies. I know that she does that. And my mentor doesn't even have a comments section in the comment portion of her videos. I don't know of any way of contacting her. I don't. I really wouldn't if I could. At this point, there's really no need for that. However, because I don't always do what I'm told, I do watch other people's videos. I'm very selective in the channels, the YouTube channels that I will subscribe to. In fact, you can see them, all 4 of them, by just looking at my home page, which you have to be looking at right now. And not only do I listen to what's said by the person that's hosting the video, I'm very careful to read the comments that people make. And I do scrutinize them, because I am interested in the mindset, the thinking patterns, the belief systems that people hold. Now, most of those people who comment on the videos that I watch, their heart's in the right place. It really is. They're seekers. They're seeking. I know all about that. Having spent decades, over 5 of them, as a seeker myself. And I know that a lot of these people that comment, I can tell by their comments that I would not consider them a bona fide, necessarily, source player. They want to know about things, and the things that they say that are like, well, it shows me, like I said, that their heart's in the right place. But most of it is about, it's that love and light, goodwill, save the world, fairy dust type of things. And even though their heart is in the right place, I understand that they don't understand that you do not win this game by love, peace, and happiness, and spreading joy, and saving the world. That is not why we're here. If you are a source player, and I suspect that you are if you're watching my videos, if you are a source player, I would hope by now that you understand that we, the source players, are playing a game. Granted, it's a fantastic game. Fantastic. Look at what we've done with artificial intelligence that's running this whole dream state, three-dimensional, illusory game, mind game. And I really don't want to get preachy on that, but I understand that there's a lot of people out there watching sometimes videos that can be informative and are informative if you know what to take away from them. It's because of people's belief systems, primarily, that for some reason they think this is all about fairy dust. It is not. The reason I'm making this particular video at this particular time at 3:45 in the morning is because I just went through about 50 to 100 comments made to various videos that were done by people who were speaking, even if they didn't know it, were speaking about esoteric subject matter. I'm not going to get into that. I mean, what other people make videos of is their business. But I do watch some of it. My mentor, for example, certainly I watch all of her videos. But I can't comment on any of them. She's got that shut down. I wouldn't have anything to say if I could comment. Some wise person long ago, I don't know who it was, I forget if I ever did know, said that if you want to explain the mystery behind existence itself, the best thing to do is shut up and don't say anything. Because actually it cannot be put into words. Words are all we have to communicate with, to try to get an idea across, a concept across. But the words are often very inadequate. Because words are interpreted by the conscious body, the mind. And on that level, we're more or less dealing with what's called the finite. And the finite can never grasp that which is infinite. And what is infinite knows only itself, which is yourself. One time my mentor said to me, not this mentor, let me rephrase that. About 20 years ago, I was sitting under the guidance, the teaching of what's called a Sat Guru. Sat Guru means a Kundalini. I don't know if any of you ever heard that word. If you did, forget it. Actually, pay no attention to that word. But she was a Kundalini finished guru. That means she went through the whole Kundalini cycle. That all has to do with chakras. It has to do with that serpent that starts in the base of your spine and winds its way up until eventually it blows out the top of your head. Now that's a very, 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 very brief explanation of Kundalini, but anyhow, this guru, my guru, said to me, I mentioned God, and she said to me, God does not even know that you exist. And I didn't know how to take that. I'm like, what? How could God, him up there, that created everything, how could he not know that I exist if he is my creator? I didn't know then what I have come to know, what has been revealed to me. What she was saying is that the infinite knows only that which is infinite, which is itself. Yourself and myself. Wow. I could go off for 2 or 3 hours straight on that alone. But I'll spare you. I'll get there as my videos continue. I've already been there in certain respects. I've said a lot. There's still some things I have not said. Because remember, my videos began with building a foundation upon which to build. Line by line, brick by brick, layer upon layer. Until the time comes when you'll have no need to comment on my videos, which you're allowed to do. And I'm beginning to understand why my mentor, the Matrix Game of Life, my mentor in that game, has closed down her comment section. It's amazing some of the things I get. However, that's okay. That's okay. A valid question deserves a valid exploration. That's how I operate. That is not how my mentor operates at all. And that doesn't mean that I'm operating in a better way than she's operating. We're playing, both her and I are present in the game. We just do things differently. And that's okay. There are many ways to teach the same thing. Many ways. I wouldn't say I'm the best of teachers, nor is it possible that I'm the worst. As you are, I am Source. Having said that, and having spoken already about how I read the comments that are made by various selves who ask questions of their host or comment on what the host says, lately what's going on is what I'm going to call COVID 2.0. Wow, the stuff I read. I hear all these, we've got to love. We've got to come together. We've got to change this power structure that is corrupting our world societies. We've got to stand fast. We've got to hold a higher frequency, which is true. We've got to do this and we've got to do that and we've got to do it all in love, and I say bullshit. There's an old adage that says, what you resist will persist. And that is true. I don't fight the world. I'm well aware of what's going on. It's a dream anyhow. I'm well aware of what's going on. I'm well aware of why people mask panic with words of love. Their intentions are good. They don't understand the game. I don't know when it was, like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago. I'm not accustomed to thinking or entertaining thoughts that are retro. I was in a car with my son and my daughter, and they were telling me all about how 9/11, 2001, World Trade Center thing, was all a conspiracy set up by what boils down to the Illuminati, and above them the reptilians, you know, that alien race that's been around since the days of Ancient Aliens on the History Channel. And if you watch Ancient Aliens, it's amusing. It is. I watch it, you know. But they were telling me how 9/11 was all a big conspiracy. Now, to tell you the truth, I remember watching 9/11 happen. I was at work. I worked in an office. And somebody was calling everybody over to the television set. And I went over. And I saw the smoke and the fire of the first building. And I watched the second plane hit the second building. And I remember my supervisor looked at me and said, "Wow, what do you think about that?" And I said, "Well, to tell you the truth, the bottle's only been uncorked." I kind of knew that at the time. We're still fighting over in those eastern countries, Afghanistan, etc. But anyhow, you know, other than that, I didn't give it a whole lot of thought. Yes, Did I feel bad? Yeah, I said, oh, like, look at that. All those people jumping out of windows and stuff. Paramedics and firemen and policemen getting burned up and crushed from things falling on them. People staggering down the street with dust all over them, choking from it. I watched all that along with everybody else. Most of the girls were crying. Most of the men weren't. They just stood there with this, like me, with this blank look on their face. My daughter always tells me I'm not in touch with my emotions. Well, that's another story. And I said to my kids, I said, I've really never thought about it as a conspiracy. I wasn't into conspiracy YouTube videos and conspiracy this and conspiracy that. Then they started telling me about Sandy Hook. And I said, you're trying to tell me that was all faked? Now you have to understand, this is before I understood that we are playing a game as source players. That thought never entered my imagination in all my years of seeking. But anyhow, it's so easy to get off track. I said, that sounds nuts. And they said, oh, Dad, you don't understand. You don't get it. Oh, man, you don't get it. You don't understand. And it almost got to the point of an argument. And we're on our way to vacation. You know, we're going to the beach. We had time and some money. I was going for a good time. But you're in a car for 8 hours, conversation is going to occur. But anyhow, long story short, I left it go at that. I guess it was about 4 or 5 months after we got back from vacation. I was flipping through YouTube channels, and I was not a YouTube fan at the time, let alone even thinking of having my own channel. I wasn't a big social media type of person. I had a Facebook page because it was popular, and I put up all kind of stuff on it people hated, most of it my music. And I came across this channel. Well, I heard this guy talking. His name was David Icke. I-C-K-E, David Icke. He's well known. He's well known. And he's hated by many. I mean, especially those who are in slots of authority and power. And I listened to him for about 5 minutes, and I thought, and it turned my stomach. And I turned it off. About 20 minutes later, I went right back to it. Don't ask me why. I just did. It was in my script, I suppose. I went right back to it, and I listened to his entire nearly 8-hour lecture. Now, if you want to know how the world works, how the game is set up, that part of it anyhow, I'm talking about the power structures, governments, presidents, sheiks, ambassadors, kings, queens, princes, presidents, senators, etc., etc. If you want to know how their whole system works and why the world is like it is, listen to David Icke. I could give his entire lecture. That's not my purpose here. My purpose is how to beat that game without resisting it. Because if you resist it, it will kick your ass. Even though it's just a dream. It's just a game. I learned that the hard way. Before I knew that whole power structure is part of a game. David Icke will tell you, he spilled it all out. I listened to his, it was like in 4 parts, totaled almost 8 hours. And I got absolutely livid, angry. I was like, them son of a bitches. Look what they're doing. My daughter, my son. They were telling me something that's probably true. And I didn't even care about it. And I remember I sat down on the throne and I was just cooking. I was mad. I understood what he was saying. And he did it perfectly. That's when I got turned on to looking at the world from a different perspective. And it was informative. That anger eventually changed to, well, I'm going to join some organization and fight this. Ignorance. That's ignorance. But I understood all these power structures that we programmed into the game to make the game difficult. In my last video, I read all those different diseases and viruses and epidemics and pandemics. And I read off a whole bunch of major world-changing events that had happened. And I made it quite clear that all of those things, all of those events, all of those pandemics were programmed in by us before we entered the game. Once we get in the game, we forget it. We forgot what we did. We forgot where we came from, who we are, not who we are, what we are. We programmed all that stuff in to make the game difficult, next to impossible to win. And we made a wager. We made a bet. We wagered some of our source fractal energy that if we lost, would never be restored. Ever. But if we won, or at least got out of this game with as much energy as we came in with, equal to our wager, we could double that, triple it, or quadruple it. And in the primary matrix, it's like real estate. Location, location, location. Status. Power. As above, so below. You see the same things reflected in this game. Only in the higher dimensions, in the primary matrix. Remember, this is the secondary matrix. This game required a matrix of its own because all of the frequency, low frequency, that it contains, even if it's only conscious, subconscious, emotional, and physical, not this physical, the physical, do I have to say it again? The physical body on the physical plane of the primary matrix, the lowest plane there is in the primary matrix. Which is it's a lot better than here, but there's a lot of shady stuff that goes on there. Cloning bodies, selling them, cutting them up for food, drugs, extracting DMT, bartering with. If you are somebody who insists on eating meat, which is a game violation, you are giving consent, implied consent, to the keepers of your body, which is sleeping, the keepers that we created long ago. They're still around. We give them implied consent to clone our bodies and to put them on the market. I'll get back on track a minute here, but I want to say something about what I'm talking about right now. When we look into the night sky in this three-dimensional dream, we perceive anyhow, mentally, we perceive a three-dimensional universe, a three-dimensional moon, a three-dimensional Earth, a three-dimensional Saturn, Mars, Venus, etc., a three-dimensional Milky Way galaxy. However, there is, whatever the correct English is, there is a five-dimensional Earth, a six-dimensional Earth, a seventh-dimensional Earth, and so on until you reach those frequency and dimensional levels that are so high that matter is no longer perceived as matter. Everything becomes etheric, substanceless. So, when we eat meat, we're giving implied consent to the keepers of our bodies, the ones that feed us, wipe our ass, wash us, etc. We're asleep. Not all of us. We give them implied consent to clone our body. Now, a cloned body has no soul. It's a hunk of meat, a hunk of bone, flesh, and blood. It's all DNA manipulation. It starts in a petri dish, and not long after that, I mean, you have no... it's difficult to imagine the complexity of science that I'm talking about. There are very advanced civilizations. There are. If you see an alien or an alien aircraft, it might pop in and pop right back out because it cannot stand these low frequencies. It can't. So these cloned bodies, they're just a hunk of meat. Featureless. And they're used for all the things that I described that they're used for. It's a black market. It's going on a physical plane of the primary matrix, but you're also getting in to the lower frequency levels of the fifth dimension. Dimensions we can't see because the eyesight that we experience, our perception of light, in comparison from the ultraviolet to the infrared spectrum, light spectrum, we see a teeny part of that, a fractional part. Those who dwell on the higher dimensions, like on the fifth dimension and the sixth dimension and the seventh dimension, they can see us clearly. We can't see them. We can't see anything other than three-dimensional and very narrow light band of the whole light scale, which is vast. Now, I got to figure out how to get back to what I was talking about before I started talking about getting your body cloned, which is all very interesting. There's a lot more to it than just that, and one day we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. It's really not essential knowledge at this point of the game. It isn't. It's fun to know, it's nice to know, but it will not, that knowledge will not help you in this game. The only thing that is a broad sweep of that knowledge is understanding what as above, so below actually means, because it is in play. Some things in this dream game illusion are mirror images of what's on the physical plane. Because we create out of knowledge, not out of stupidity. You can't create something that you don't have a thought of. That becomes an inner vision. And when you dwell upon it long enough and steadfastly enough, that thought will eventually become manifest. There's a lot of talk about the law of attraction. You can listen to lecture after lecture after lecture after lecture after lecture on YouTube about the law of attraction. The truth of the matter is, in the third dimension, it's a very difficult law to be successful in handling. Once you get up there away, it's no problem. You think something, boom, it's there. How do I know that? I kind of remember it. And things have happened that have verified my memory. If you're really in the game to win, I mean, if you're in it, and you're not BSing around, you're serious about it, you will start remembering things. Like I said, a little bit there, and a little bit there, and a little bit there, and a little bit there, until it all falls together and becomes, oh, yeah, I remember that. So I guess don't eat meat if you don't want your body cloned. Why would you want anybody messing with that? That body is part of your soul. You can't clone a soul. You can't clone a conscious body. You cannot clone a subconscious body, nor can you clone an emotional body. But a physical body, being it's the most dense component of the soul, can be cloned, even though it will be soulless. It will be soulless. It'll be dangling there, hooked up to the artificial intelligence, which will keep it alive along with its keepers. That will cut it up when we'll deal with it. Ooh. Now, what was I talking about before I got off on that great big long speech? Wow, 48 minutes already. Okay, let me bring it back to where I wanted to go, which is coronavirus 2.0. I watch all these videos, people squawking and yelling and screaming at the Illuminati, at the reptilians. They want to kill them. You know, they want to tear down all the power structures. They want to, for some reason, everybody that's running the banks and the credit systems, they're all crooked. And I'm not going to argue that. Charging interest is, in a way, it's like theft, because there actually is no such thing as money. Money is all ones or digits in our vast artificial, in the game, artificial intelligence computer systems. That's what 5G is all about. Things are powering up there, man. Best I can tell, I'm not making an assumption, I highly suspect that 5G is nothing more than the framework of a very powerful surveillance system. And then some. You know, there's talk on TV. No wonder people are mad. There's talk. I don't get into it all that much because I see what's happening, but like, people can watch MSNBC, CNN, Fox, whatever you want, you know, and hear all these, you know, listen to President Trump give his coronavirus daily hour-and-a-half class along with his duly appointed representatives, doctors and military men and what have you, financial people. And a lot of it's double talk. It's like nobody really knows what they're talking about. And to the average, what we call human being, what they are perceiving is chaotic. Everybody's locked up in their homes, afraid to go down the store and get a damn gallon of milk, wearing gloves, masks, staying 6 feet apart, police drones flying around telling people this park is closed, or make some space between yourselves. It's like Big Brother happening right in front of us, openly. People are crying and complaining about it. Oh, geez, we got to tear this down. Why don't the benevolent aliens come and save us? We are victims. Why don't they do something for us? I watch the same stuff and I go, yeah, that's what's going on. That's, you know, I don't like it, nor do I dislike it. I stay neutral. I stay neutral. I see both sides of it. The love side, let's kill them with love, and let's go beat the shit out of them side. I see both of those reactions out there. I read the comments of people. They voice it very well. I know those sides exist in the game. I don't mess with them. I walk between them in neutrality, which is a higher frequency than is love. It is. Unconditional love is a high frequency, but neutrality is higher. So I watch all the people's reactions, how they want to tear everything down, and, you know, how the pharmaceutical companies and Big Brother and, you know, the whole world system, the whole thing, based in London, Wall Street, Chicago, Tokyo. It's worldwide. It's a network. And we created it. We knew what we were doing. Like I often say, we outdid ourselves when we created this game. We made it very difficult, harder than we were capable of imagining it would be, right down to the experience of death. Beyond the physical plane of the primary matrix, the physical plane, when you get into the higher frequency levels of the frequency of the physical plane, the higher frequencies of that plane, there's no death. You are source. Anyhow, excuse me. For all you folks out there who are watching my videos, do not be deceived in the way to combat all of this apparent, what is being perceived as chaotic. That's how it's being perceived. Worldwide pandemic, locked in your homes, 6 feet apart, government sending you $1,200, and if you own a small business, you can get a free loan if you use the money to pay your employees that you had to lay off because all the businesses are shut down. Sure, it seems chaotic. But what you don't want to do, and this is part of playing the game, understand their game and learn how to play it. You won't run out of toilet paper. You'll have money in the bank. If you have to work, you'll get, if you don't have a job now, you'll get a job. Perhaps. But regardless, you are source. And at the highest level, if you can even call it that, of existence, you are source. You've created a game, and it is being played as you. A fractal. That contains everything of the whole. When you wake up to that, that's know thyself. There's nothing, you won't fear anything. I heard a real loud bang on a TV today, and it made me jump. I wasn't expecting it. Yeah, you still get startled. That's part of the experience. You might feel fear. But you'll recognize it and go, And you return to neutrality in all things. You remember what you are. And you look at the chaos going on in the world, which is nothing new. Atomic bombs were dropped on Japanese people. Millions and millions and millions and millions of lives have been lost in war. Alcohol and drug abuse kill more people than the coronavirus ever will. Is it all staged? Go figure. If it is staged, who planned it to be that way? We did. We created this game. So, don't freak out. Don't freak out. I don't have any problem not going out. I miss riding my bicycle a little bit, but the weather hasn't lent to my desiring to do that just yet. It's not warm enough yet. Other than that, there's nothing out there that interests me. Would I like to take a trip to the beach again? Yeah. It's a nice experience. Can I create that? Absolutely. Not that hard. Can I create a gold brick instantly in my stocking that's hanging by the chimney with care at a fireplace? The game doesn't work that way. It's a mind game. On the other hand, if you really truly believed in your heart that that gold would be there, it was a wise man. In fact, his resurrection, so to speak, is going to be celebrated on Sunday. What's that, tomorrow? Is it Saturday? Yeah. He said, I'm speaking of Jesus Christ, of course, he said, he was having a discussion on what's commonly known as faith. It is written that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Another way of saying that comes from the scriptures. Again, God calls those things to be not as though they were. Jesus said, if you should say to this mountain, be removed from your place and move over to there. He said, if you believed in your heart that mountain was going to move, it would certainly move for you. I don't know anybody, nor have I ever, in all my readings and seeking, have I ever come across someone making record of anybody that ever moved a mountain just by talking to it. But you can move a mountain. It will start with a thought. I want to move that mountain. What must I do? Next thing you know, you'll start a plan. You figure out how to finance a bulldozer or 10. Hire some people to help you. Figure out how to finance a company. Start digging. You can move a mountain. Where was I going? So much to say. 1 hour. Okay. Anyhow, don't freak out about what's happening in the world. Understand it. And learn how to play the game. The world game. Don't fight it. Or it will kick your ass. You've just got... As the experiences come, well, actually they're coming here and being perceived as being out there. We have everything asked backwards. As the experience come, you see them. And you'll make a wise choice, hopefully, on how to deal with what appears. You won't fight it. You roll with it to your benefit. Remember, the whole game is based on energy, frequency, and choices. Your choices in the game, as it presents itself to you, your choices in the game will dictate your energy level, which has everything to do with your frequency level. If you're still eating meat, stop it. Get up to level 5, unlock your script, your agreed to part that you play in this game, on this stage that we call the world or earth. Unlock your script and learn how to play the game. The world game is obvious. It's obvious. It's all connected with the senses, the input of data that we get from the physical body. And desire. I want this and I want that. If I have this, I will be happy, and if I don't get it, I won't be. What do I need to make me happy, 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 happy? Everybody wants to be happy, and that's okay. It's better to be content. Just content. You roll right through this. What's the worst thing that could happen? And I'll speak for myself. What's the worst thing that could possibly happen? Or at least I will say, what is the worst perceived thing that could happen to me in this world? Death? There's no such thing. Can I prove that? No. But I know it. I don't believe it. I know it. And you can know it too. Just keep playing the game with determination. If you're not determined, you're going to flounder around like a fish, and the game's going to beat you up. Hasn't it been doing that anyhow? Aren't we tired of that? I've had those experiences, man. I know what they are. I don't want to have them anymore. And for the most part, I don't. I'm just like neutral about it all, man. It's everything's cool. It's all okay. So, well, I talked a lot about a lot of different stuff again today. Went here, went there, jumped here, went there, but it all connects. It all connects. So, I'm going to end here. I'm at an hour and 10 minutes, about my normal. Don't freak out. Observe, comprehend, choose wisely. May your matrix experience be one of health, wealth, prosperity, and that's entirely up to you. Entirely. You are a player in the game. You made a wager to get into the game, fully convinced at the time that you could beat it. And once you got into it, you didn't even remember that. That's how we designed the game. We got the mind wiped. Got it wiped. No memory. Little baby. So, peace be with you. I'll see you in my next video. Ciao.